Good morning, Harefield Church, from the Evans family over here in Home Close. Absolute privilege to be with you this morning, and also a real privilege to have the opportunity to share just a thought for the day. Today it will be myself, and tomorrow Louisa will be sharing. We just want to thank Barry for the opportunity to do that. I've entitled the talk, devotion, sharing, to everything there is a season. And that will take me into the book of Ecclesiastes in a few minutes. But I want to start this morning in my kitchen. Yesterday morning, I had a bit of an experience in my kitchen. I had Premier Gospel Radio on. I was listening to Kirk Franklin, just happened to be on. And I found myself dancing around my kitchen. Now, I was quite glad in many ways that I was the only one awake. There was only me and the cat. And I just found myself a little bit carried away. And just dancing around, expressing the joy of the Lord that was in my life at that moment. And that was strange to me, not just because I can't dance, but also because about maybe 8 weeks ago, I really did not feel like dancing, as this whole coronavirus pandemic was escalating and beginning to move around the world. I was in Germany, and I was there with Andy, the principal of All Nations, and we were visiting mission agencies and churches and people, and we were having a wonderful time. It was absolutely amazing. And then I got a text from the UK that said, because you're in Germany and the coronavirus was more prevalent there then than it was here in the UK, they said we need to cancel the training event that we were going to do with you because we're a little bit fearful, or some of the delegates are a little bit fearful that you may have picked up the virus and you may transmit it when you come back. And I remember just sitting there in the car with this text and thinking, wow, this virus is going to have enormous consequences. The next day after that, a trip to Romania and training there also got cancelled. A couple of days after that, we were supposed to be 2 weeks in Argentina in April. That also fell by the wayside as different South American countries also went under lockdown. There were a couple of other nations, very, very dear to my heart, with amazing friends there, and we were looking forward and waiting for training that we're going to do. They both fell through. And all of a sudden, we were just looking ahead at the next 3 to 6 months, and everything was just disintegrating. That's how it felt in my heart. Everything was just being sort of simultaneously stripped away. And then at our college, at All Nations, we were beginning also to realize that next term was going to be different. After the Easter holidays, we realized that everything was going to have to go online, that there would be very few people on site at All Nations, that our community was all going to go virtual, that the thing that Louisa and I love is having people come from all over the world, and they're in a classroom together, and we have close fellowship together, and we learn together. That wasn't going to happen. We were going to be at home teaching. The folks around the world were all going to be zooming in. How are we going to do that? What was that going to look like as community? Would we be able to go as deep together? And all of these questions, and everything just changed almost in 2 weeks like that for the next 6 months. Whew. I did not feel like dancing at that time. But as Ecclesiastes says, this is in chapter 3, verses 1 and 4. Those were the ones that the Lord really impressed upon my heart. It says there, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. There is a time to weep and a time to laugh, and a time to mourn and a time to dance. But I didn't understand that at that time. But as we entered this new season, probably about 6 months long, the Lord was laying on our heart, He gave me 7 R's, and he said, this is what I'm doing during this time. He said, it's a time of restriction. I'm going to strip stuff away in your life and show you what is really important. And he's certainly been doing that over the last few weeks. He said, it's a time of reset. Lots of prayer groups that we're hearing around the world. It's like God is pressing the reset button at this time in so many different ways. He's resetting things. And we just need to be sort of conscious of that. I'm sure we are conscious of that in many ways. He says it's a time of repositioning. It's new people in going in different directions, people receiving new direction from the Lord. And the next season is not going to be the same as the last, the one that we're moving out of. He says it's a time of refreshing. He says, I'm going to show you what gives you energy, and I'm also going to show you what drains it, and I'm going to get you to work that out in this season as well. It's a time of refashioning, re-envisioning what you thought was set in stone. What I thought was set in stone, that's no longer going to be the case. You're going to see that actually things are much more flexible and much more fluid than you ever thought they were. And at the same time, it's a time of releasing new resources, recognizing the people that God has already placed in your life. I read this quote from a Christian consulting agency in the US, how to deal with the coronavirus as a leader, whether that's leading your own life, your family's life, your organization's life, whatever that means. He says, the people that will help you chart the course towards fulfilling God's mission in the coming years are the people you have the deepest trust with today, those currently on mission with you. And so the question comes to us, who are we on mission with today? Who do we have the deepest trust with today? Because those are the people, they're going to be instrumental, that you are going to work with and serve with and minister with in this next season, the most effectively and the most closely. And I thought, wow, what a word that is to us. God says, I'm adjusting you. I'm adjusting your life. I'm adjusting your family's life, whether they're present and close with you now, or whether you're needing to Zoom with them, even though they might only be a mile down the road. I'm adjusting your church's life. We've already seen some of that already. I'm adjusting your nation's life. I'm adjusting global life at this time. And I am setting the foundation sort of under the radar with all of this stuff going on. I am setting the foundation for the seasons to come in you and around you. Be patient, wait and see what I'm going to do. To everything there is a season, a time to every purpose under heaven, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. There is great reason to weep and mourn. Every day I check in on the statistics. I'm a bit of a statistics buff. And you clock how many more cases, even in the UK, how many more people have died, and that's been registered and that's come through in the statistics. And that's hundreds of people a day. And that's a reason to weep and to mourn. That is incredibly difficult to comprehend. Even worse, if you're close to people that you've lost over this time, you are grieving because of people that are no longer with us because of this situation. I've recently been talking to somebody from a church in South London, and they had a baptism service in late February. And somebody there had the virus, passed it around the congregation. 2 people passed away shortly afterwards. I have another church that's very close to my heart in West London, about a community of about 60 people. One of the ladies there, she's a care worker, and she also contracted the virus. And the community lost her as well, and they're grieving that. And they have other people that have also contracted the virus. They've been quite ill, but they've recovered. But that's also been quite difficult. We have friends around the world that are struggling, not just with the lockdown, but also financially and in terms of resources. It is a time to mourn and to weep. But at the same time, Over the last few weeks, I've seen God working in incredible ways. He's opened up in this season of lockdown new opportunities for us in Argentina, Nepal, and Tanzania. That's been really exciting. We zoomed in to a Romanian church on Sunday, and I kind of shared a short devotion there. A community of about 100 people, 42 households on Zoom, a South Sudanese pastor, people from Asia, people from Africa, people from Eastern Europe and other parts of Europe. And we were all together on a screen doing church life together. It was incredible. We have got this new opportunity open up over Zoom to do mission training with a church in Chile, in South America as well. And for our en route course that we so desired to be residential and up at all nations on the hill there. Well, we have somebody zooming in from the Democratic Republic of Congo, somebody zooming in from Zimbabwe, somebody zooming in from Ghana, two folks zooming in from Holland, another lady from Romania, another lady from the UK, us zooming in from our home here in Harlow. And we are learning to form community together, to do life together, to train for mission together. And that's why at the same time as mourning and weeping, we've also been laughing. And also, as I said, in my kitchen the other day, dancing. I'm reminded of what it says at the end of Ecclesiastes, just to kind of put a conclusion or a summary to this. He says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commands, for this is the whole duty of a man or a woman. And I think through this season, we are learning in new ways to fear God, keep his commands, to see what he's doing in and around us, to wait, be patient, and to see. He knows what he's doing. Let him rearrange and reassemble the furniture of our lives. Allow him to do this deep and difficult work now so that we are properly prepared for the seasons to come. To everything there is a season, a time to every purpose under heaven, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and even a time to dance in your kitchen because you are filled with the joy of the Lord. Thank you for listening. Pray that that's been a blessing to you. Have a great day in the Lord. And if the Lord takes you that way, and you've got Premiere or UCB radio on in your kitchen, maybe even a day to dance in the Lord.